Academy. This is CC Cycle 3, Week 17. So we started off with timeline today, and I had one kid that was missing, and so we only had 7 students, and we have 7 cards, so that worked out well. I hid the cards around the room and had each child find a card. If you do have an 8th student, you can use the age card, so age of industry for this week. You can hide the age of industry card so that it kind of just reinforces which age we're in. But we had 7, and so the kids just brought them back to the circle and we put them in order, and I just pointed to the cards while we sang through the timeline song. After timeline, we did geography, and geography was kind of tricky this week because we were doing the Eastern rivers, and it's kind of hard to tell like where the rivers start and where they end, and so I color-coded the rivers on my board just to kind of help my kids out to see where the various rivers were. So I found a song on CC Connected, and we sang through the song, and I pointed out the different rivers, and I think it helped them to look at my board first before we looked at their maps, just so they can really visualize where these different rivers were. And then we moved on to their maps, and I gave them each a sea animal finger puppet. I happened to have 7, and so we swam down the rivers. We just kind of traced it with our fingers while we sang through the song. Next we did history, and for history we were talking about the 19th Amendment, and I have 7 boys in my class and 1 little girl, and the girl was the one that was sick, and so I was like, shoot, we can't talk about women's rights when she's here, but that's okay. So I had a bunch of boys talking about women's rights, and I used an idea from Mrs. C where she replaces different words throughout the history sentence, and they're usually silly words, and it makes the kids laugh and really pay attention to what I'm saying so that they can correct me. And so I think there were like maybe 6 or 7 different words that I replaced, and I'll go ahead and tell you what the words are. You can use different words, but this is what I chose. So for Stanton, I said starburst. For Anthony, anchovies. For suffrage, spaghetti. For United States, Hudson Bay. For 19th, I said 14th. And that was really cool because one of the little boys in my class knew what the 14th Amendment was about. And so he explained that to the class, and I was proud of him for remembering that from a couple weeks ago. So that was cool. And then for women, I said babies, and for vote, I said swim. So they really like that. They think it's funny, and it always gets them laughing. So that was a fun thing to do for history. And then we moved on to math. And for math, I've seen tutors a lot of times make squares out of masking tape on the floor and have the kids like jump in and out of the square. So we did something similar, but instead I just had 4 pieces of equal size tape, equal lengths, just laying on the floor, and I had them build their square first, and then we jumped in and out of it. And I think it just kind of reinforced that a square has the same lengths, and they could really see that when they were all lined up together. And so they built their square, and then they jumped in and out of it. And we kind of had a chant that we did for the area of a square that was really simple, and the kids enjoyed that. Next we did science, and we used our periodic table. And I just gave them a little flag toothpick, and we pointed to the different elements that we were studying this week. The second 4, we're doing the song to the tune of Shake It Off, and it goes pretty fast, and so we were able to do it from the beginning a couple times too, because it didn't take up very much time. And it was kind of hard to like find it, the place in the song, just starting off with number 5. So that's what we did for science. For English, I found a good song on CC Connected that does the subject and the predicate for next week. It combines them into one song, and it's a really catchy song. It has a good beat, and so I just got my shakers out, and I had the kids just keep the beat while we sang this song. And if I had had more time, I would have had a leader that could shake high or low or to the side for everybody to follow, but we just didn't have time, so we just kept the beat. For Latin, we're doing the song the song by King Things, and I just discovered a couple weeks ago that you can actually purchase it for like 99 cents on iTunes. So I was like pulling it up on YouTube, and you know, it's kind of annoying because you have your playlist and iTunes, and I had to flip over to YouTube. But they have it on iTunes, and I thought it was definitely worth the 99 cents. It's a beautiful song, and I use it every week. And so I just purchased it, and then I can put it right in my playlist. So it's a lot easier. So we just have a few new hand motions this week. So life is you do like an A hand shape, and you just pull your hands up. For light, you kind of have a closed hand, like an O almost, and then you open it up and go down for light. For men, we did like a ball cap, and then you put your thumb on your chest. So that's men or man. So those are the only new hand motions. The rest are ones that we've already done. So I'll go ahead and sing the song and do the hand motions. In ipsa vita erat, et vita erat, lux hominum. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. So that was our new Latin ASL hand signs. So that finishes up new grammar. And for hands-on science, we're still talking about probability. We're doing those probability experiments first, and then we're going to move to the other science experiments the next 6 weeks. So we were doing where we talked about like dividing the class in half, and if we did a coin toss, and if it lands on heads, then group A gets a treat, and if it lands on tails, group B gets a treat. And so, of course, the one that won, I think it was group B, they thought the experiment was fair, but group A did not. But we talked about how there was a 50-50 chance, you know, a 1 in 2 chance that you would get the heads or the tails. So then we did it and then we did it 12 times, and then we did it based off a die, and you say if it's 1 or 2, group A gets a treat, and if it's 3, 4, 5, or 6, group B gets a treat. And it was really funny because it ended up being split, like we did it 12 times, and 6 times it was group A and 6 times it was group B, even though the odds were obviously in group B's favor. So we kind of talked about that, and we talked about odds and what that meant, and they were very concerned about their treat. And so I definitely brought a treat in for that week, because I knew that they asked about it the entire time, like, where's the treats at? So yeah, I would definitely recommend having a treat on hand so that you can fulfill that promise, because they're looking for their treat. And obviously I gave all the kids a treat. For fine arts, we did Andrew Wyeth, and the last several art projects, I've kind of let them do their own thing, because like the Norman Rockwell, of course, they're creating their own story and illustrating it. So just kind of wanted them to do their own thing. And for Georgia O'Keeffe, they were able to pick out their own flower and, you know, paint their own flower. But for this one, I thought it might be good to do it as a group. And so I found a painting by Andrew Wyeth that is like a barn scene with a couple trees and snow everywhere. And so I thought that might be a good picture to base our paintings off of. So I kind of guided them through the painting, and this is how mine turned out. I was like drawing upside down, like trying to show the kids. So this is a very quick, like 10-minute painting, but we just we drew the barn first and the trees, and you know, obviously the horizon line, and then you dot before you paint, you with a white crown, you kind of make the snow flakes coming down. It's kind of hard to see. It did work, but like here and here, but it didn't work really well. So I would recommend making sure you emphasize to the kids that they need to really press hard on the white crown. I think some of them just didn't do it hard enough, and so it didn't really work. It wasn't like waxy enough of a coat to stop the paint from permeating to the paper. So I just recommend they do it really hard if they want to do snowflakes like that. But it was fun. They really enjoy the watercolor. This is the second time I think that we've done watercolor, and I talked about blending the colors a little bit more this time, because there was a lot of, in our painting, there was a lot of shadows and things on the barn, and so we kind of talked about blending those colors together, and also in the sky we blended some colors. So so they enjoyed that, and it was a simple enough scene that my 4 to 6 year olds could handle it. So that's all we did for fine arts. And then for review, I had all boys in my class today because the little girl was sick, like I told you, or her sister was sick. But anyway, for review, I kind of took advantage that it was all boys, and we did a Hot Wheels review game that I found online. And basically you just ask a review question and then let a child pick out a track to add to our big track. And so you're just building a track as you answer questions. And then at the very end, I let them each choose their own Hot Wheels car. We have like 50 Hot Wheels cars. So I did not bring all 50, but I brought maybe 20 that they could choose their car. And then I asked them a question and they were able to race their car down the track. So that worked out really well. And that is all we did for week 17. Thanks so much for watching.